You're a mum, you're a mum, you're a busy mum. Come listen to the Busy Mum podcast. Life hacks and inspiration for the busy modern mum.
This podcast is sponsored by Boobs on the Run. Melanie Warman is the founder of Boobs on the Run. The entire ethos of Boobs on the Run is to teach women to not only run, but become inspirational women, carving out time for themselves and increasing their confidence. Mel has also started teaching children how to run properly as well. This business is called Kids on the Run. Mel was one of my very first guests on the podcast last year. You can learn more about her at episode 2. Mel and her wonderful team teach women and children how to run properly and sustainably. You can reach Melanie at www.boobsontherun.com.au or email her at info@boobsontherun.com.au.
Well, Giovanna, welcome to the Busy Mum podcast. How are you this morning?
I'm very good, thank you. It's very dark in Melbourne at the moment.
Yeah, it looks dark. And is it raining? It's always raining. What am I saying?
It's been extremely wet the last couple of days, and apparently the worst is yet to come. So we're all bracing ourselves.
Yeah, last night we had severe thunderstorms, and apparently, Mother Nature has booked another furious thunderstorm for school pickup. And I'm like, thank you very much. Can't wait. Crazy hair about to happen. So Giovanna, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you define yourself.
I define myself an extremely busy person, very happy-go-lucky, a person who likes to try many things. I am, at the moment, I'm an accredited mental health social worker. So I run my own private practice where I go to people's homes and I do counselling sessions. I'm also a filmmaker, and that's an extension to my mental health work. I do TV series and full feature movies on life issues and difficult life issues. I'm also a mother of 2. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and I love being a mum. And I've got a husband. Yeah, is there anything else I've missed out?
Can you fit any more in there, Giovanna, really?
I know. I'm also a musician. I'm a martial artist. So.
That's amazing. Like, how do we fit so much into our days? Like, do we just keep going until we drop?
Yeah, and but you know what? I've always been like this since I was 5 years old. I've just always been doing more than one thing, probably about 10 things in once, and that's what makes me happy though.
So you mentioned here that you used to be a kindergarten teacher. Like, was that like your first career, would you say?
Yeah, see, the thing is, I always wanted to be an actress since I was little, and my parents like, oh, you can't really make much money at being an actor, you've got to be lucky, so you need a job to fall back on. And so my next passion was working with children, and I loved being a kindergarten teacher. I did that for 6 years, absolutely adored it. And then from there, I became a primary school teacher, a music and drama specialist. And then I was a stay-at-home mum, and it was when I was a stay-at-home mum that I went back to uni and got my social work degree. I did it via distance education.
Okay. And what made you run your own counselling practice? Like, why did you feel the need to have to go out on your own and do that rather than do it in-house somewhere?
Well, at the time I was actually a counsellor in a school, so I was a welfare coordinator, and it was an amazing job. So many kids, kids they were all getting counselling, and it was great because people weren't scared to get counselling. It kind of became cool to go to the counsellor, so that was awesome. So I kind of achieved, a few goals there. But what I noticed was there were a lot of kids who weren't attending school, so a lot of school refusers. So I ended up driving to those students' houses, tried to find ways to get them back to school. And I spent a lot of hours doing that. And the principal brought me into his office, closed the door and said to me, I love your passion. You're doing a great job at this school. But while you're out there, you're not here servicing the kids. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. So the next day I handed in my resignation, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to go to the homes and get them back to school.
Okay. So I know I've had a few friends that their kids I'm quite lucky. My kids rather be at school than be on school holidays. Like they're like home refusers. Like I've got the opposite. They're like, oh, do we have to stay home? I really want to learn and be at school. But for those school refusers, like, are there like some like tips that you can share with the audience of how to encourage your child to actually love going to school?
Yeah, I think it's the positive talk from when the kids are little. Like if a parent is a little bit dissatisfied with the teachers and they openly talk about it in front of the kids and like, oh, that teacher, they're not doing a good job, and oh God, I hate this school, I hate the way they do this, and I hate the way they do that. There's good and bad in every school. When a parent's dissatisfied with the school, they need to go and address it with the school, but don't necessarily give the child a negative outlook on school, because then that broadens it out to education in general.
Yeah.
But that's not the main reason. There's so many reasons why kids school refuse. I'd also recommend that they really find out the core of why they're not going to school. So what I found is a lot of kids have got learning disabilities but have not been diagnosed. They struggle with school so much, whether it's, being on the spectrum or having a learning disability, or, just finding school so hard and not getting the proper support. That's enough to turn them off going to school, because if every single day is so hard, it just becomes way too exhausting to be able to cope through, just one typical school day. So I would recommend that the parents go and find out why they're refusing, whether it's an educational thing, is it a bullying thing, is it because they don't have any direction? So when kids are, say, year 10, year 11, I find a lot of those school refusers, they don't know what they want to be when they leave school, so they don't see a purpose for school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they just need some guidance.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, it's interesting, because I've been a class parent. You know how each school usually not like, well, they don't nominate a parent. You kind of go, I'll do it. Yeah, and then you go, oh, yay, oh my God, what am I doing? So I always try and do that. But the feedback that I get from some of the parents that don't like particular teachers is like constant. And they're like, you need to address this with the teacher. And I go, look, you are going to come across teachers you don't like and kids you don't like, and you just got to deal with it and give your kids the tools to cope, because it's only a year they're with that teacher. It's only a year, and before you know it, you're at the end of the year like we are now.
That's right. And that's same with when you get a job. You're going to have bosses and managers that you love and adore, and there's going to be ones that you just don't want to be anywhere near them.
Exactly. And that's like building up part of their resilience to it as well, like going, oh, I don't like this aspect of a certain person. How do I deal with that? Like if the kid's like, because year 3, my daughter's in year 3, and apparently year 3 is like really hard in terms of with the girls. They get all kind of bitchy with each other. So having to deal with that is like, I always just say you need to stay away from those nasty girls and just hang out with the nice ones. So that's kind of like me on repeat all the time with my Maddie.
And also it's about teaching the kids to identify what it is about those kids they don't like, because one of the big parts about school is not just education, it's socially, it's to find out who you are as a person and what type of people you like to be around. So if they say, oh, Mum, I just don't like those girls, why don't you like them?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you like them?
People. Yeah, they talk about other people. They say that, they put me down, or they do this and they do that. And then you say, okay, so what type of friend, what makes a good friend? So it's all that emotional intelligence and teaching them, to tap into the reasons why they don't like a person as opposed to the shallow reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And year 3, as I said before, is one of those years that's, I don't know, year 2 was so much different to year 3, but I've been told that year 4 it gets a bit better. So, and I mean, you've got teenage kids, so like you're kind of past that point. But then there's, I suppose, other issues that are going to come up with a 12. Is it a 12-year-old and a 14? No.
Yeah. And then they say year 9 as teachers, a lot of us dread year 9s, because year 9 is when people, kids are starting to really identify who they are, and the people they thought they liked, and now they don't, and there's a lot of drama in year 9 usually.
Great, can't wait.
But then by year 10, they start to settle and they start to get serious about education and they mature. This is one thing I want people to understand too, is with teenagers too, their body, they might be 16 years old, but the brain grows 2 years slower than the body. Oh. So they might be 16, but their brain is still only 14.
Yeah. And they look like adults, but they're not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Good insight there. But so can you describe for us a day in the life of you, Giovanna?
Oh gosh. Okay. I'll tell you a typical day. Yeah. A typical day, I'll get up at 6 a.m. I have a bit of peace time to myself, make, coffee, breakfast, just kind of edge my way into the day, have a look at the clients. I usually see about 7 clients a day, six or 7 a day.
That's hardcore.
And that's driving around northern and western suburbs of Melbourne. And then I come home and, feed the family. I have some family time. We do eat together. We might watch a series. Then as a family, we go for a 1-hour walk every night. And that's our family catch-up time. And then we all go and do our own thing. So I'll go to my computer and I'll start editing my movies or, doing my composing or, I'll do my own projects and the kids and my husband do their own thing as well. That's a typical day.
I just want to go back to this 1-hour walk. How do you get them to walk with you? And how did that come about as a family ritual that you went for a 1-hour walk?
The simple answer is having a dog. Oh. So the kids wanted a dog, and we had a few years where we didn't really walk the dog. We were a bit slack with it. And then we came to our senses and we're like, hang on a minute, what are we doing? This dog needs a walk. We can't just have a dog and not walk the dog. So we talked to the kids about, responsibilities and, what we need to do. My kids hate sport. They hate PE. They're very science academic kids. So they loathe sport, and so does my husband. So we kind of saw it as, okay, well, you're not doing any sport, you're not doing any physical activities, so maybe we can just try going for a walk as a family. And we've got beautiful lakes where we live, and we just walked around and we just walked and talked, and the kids loved the experience. We all loved it. So we just have never stopped. It's just become a routine.
I think it's really healthy, actually, because I always say, let's go for a walk and a talk. And sometimes I walk the kids to school and it's half an hour walk to get to school. Yeah. But at first they hate it and the bag's too heavy and then I get the complaining. But by the end of the walk, we've ironed out some issues there. So I was just wondering why you guys started that. But a dog, it is very simple, isn't it? You get a dog, you have to walk it.
You get a dog. But we're also busy as well. And look, the kids, we all needed it for our own mental health as well, because we all know that exercise actually does either manage or prevent mental health issues. And with the kids studying so hard, they just found the walk was a good way to clear their minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they will talk to us about their hopes and their dreams and aspirations, and what they'll tell me all these science facts, and I'll talk about my movies, and my husband will talk about what he's doing, and it was just just a great way to just catch up with each other's day, because we don't do it at home. Everyone kind of, whether we're watching TV or doing our own thing, you don't really go into a lot of depth at home, whereas on the walk you just really get.
Yeah, cool. And it's that relationship building that you don't want to lose as the kids get older, because you want them to have those crucial conversations with you, and especially in those hard times you want them to communicate. You don't want them to bury that down deep and then having to go to all this counselling later on in life.
We let them talk about anything. They can ask us anything. They can, they're not going to get into any trouble for anything they tell us, but we can reason about things. We can discuss things. It's about broadening each other's minds, not just with us, with the kids. Sometimes a lot of the time they broaden our minds as well.
Yeah,
They keep me up to date for my own job. I work with adolescents all the time. So I kind of get the inside goss on the word on the street type thing. It's actually pretty good.
And you get to feel a bit young again, I reckon. If you keep hanging out with your girlfriends, which are fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with hanging out with your own friends, but if you have the young friends as well, they kind of keep you young, if that makes sense.
They really do. And the laughter, like sometimes one person just has to say one goofy thing and we laugh till we cry. You know, we must look like freaks to people who see us in the street sometimes, you know, driving past us. Sometimes we really just let our hair down and just, relax. And then there are other times, though, in the walk where we might be grumpy and we just don't talk. But at the end of the walk, we always thank each other for the walk. So even if we just can't be bothered talking, we'll be like, oh, thanks for the walk, guys. That was really good. Yeah, that was nice. And then because really I'm just reflecting now that actually my husband and I decided to walk initially because the kids were a bit young and that we did 6-kilometre walks, but we're fast walkers. Like we sprint walk. We don't just walk slow. We can't dawdle. So the kids stayed at home and my husband and I went. And then as they got into, say, year 7, year 8, they're like, we want to come. So they haven't stopped since. It's just a routine now.
Oh, excellent. And what's the best advice you've received so far? Because, like, you're obviously dishing out a lot of advice to these children and helping them along their journey. But what's some good advice you've received?
So received from who in particular? From kids?
No, well, it can be work-wise or relationship-wise or anything really. Like, is there one piece that kind of, like, you always tend to fall back on?
When it comes, there's so many things, but when it comes to kids itself, be tuned into kids. So don't be too busy because I'm a very, very busy person. So I can actually sometimes forget to tune into my own family because I'm so absorbed in other people's families and trying to do my job well for them that sometimes I have in the past kind of forgotten my own family. So my family have taught me the best advice, and they said, tune into your own family when you're at home, leave everything else behind and tune into us. And I'm like, wow, that was a really big wake-up call for me, and I've never forgotten it.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because you do get caught up in your own story. But moving on, like, where do you get your entertainment from? Like, I asked, my original question was like, what's your favorite Netflix show or what books are you reading now? But I've broadened it because, like, a lot of people might not have Netflix or aren't avid readers. Where do you get your entertainment from?
We are Netflix lovers actually, and that when we do have our TV time, that's what we're usually on. I love I like watching anything. I love romantic comedies. I love light humour, but I also like things like Better Call Saul and or just any. I'm actually I like wide variety of things. Yeah, not so much sci-fi, but basically anything that puts a smile on my face or keeps my brain kind of thinking.
Okay, cool. And are you eating dinner while you're watching Netflix, or do you not have the TV on?
We do have the TV on. We're a bit naughty, but we really do too. The thing is, though, it's really fun family time for us. We all watch the same series, and we watch that together as a family, and we're always discussing it, and we're talking about it, and that kind of, because then we go for the walk after, and we are discussing, what about that part when this happened and that happened, and then we kind of branch that into our own lives, and imagine if this happened, and it kind of stimulates the discussion, So, yeah, we do, but we have a lot of time without TV as well. But yeah, our routine tends to be we eat dinner in front of a series, and we just enjoy that time together.
And what's your go-to dinner, Giovanna?
Well, we kind of have routines, not overly routines, but I guess our favourite kind of meals are stir fries, and I do a lot of kind of stews and Italian meals, really, because I've got an Italian background, so things like gnocchi and just kind of some meat dishes, and my husband's good at cooking the stir fries, so we kind of take turns.
Awesome. I know I have to make spaghetti at least once a week for my husband because he's Italian. Well, he's born in Australia. He's born in Australia, and he's like really light skin and almost blonde hair. You would never pick it. But he's like, must have spaghetti. Anything tomato based, I think it is.
Yes, But we eat really healthy. Like, we're really, really into vegetables, and my kids love their veggies, and we can't not have them.
Yes, absolutely. And well, what's one area of your life you would like to improve?
I think I'm constantly working on improvement. Over the past, I'd say 5 years, I've been improving on the people I have around me.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I'm a very energetic person. I'm very bright and happy, and some people around me kind of dragged me down, but I just always went with the flow and allowed that to happen, and never changed it. I never did anything about it. I just kind of swallowed it and just let the same thing happen every day. So I've really been working on my assertiveness, and finding out, what is okay and what's not okay. And I've been working on setting my boundaries, and I couldn't set my boundaries without being clear on exactly what I as a person, do expect from people, and what I want and how I want to be treated. So that's been a massive journey for me, is developing assertiveness, setting boundaries with people, and getting really good positive people around me.
And don't you reckon that definitely comes with maturity? Like, to find yourself. Like, you can't really do it in your 20s, because you don't know what you're doing in your 20s, to be honest.
Yeah.
I've got 2 years until I'm 40, and I've only just realized that to be happy is you need to decide that you're going to wake up and be happy. Like, you're actually fully 100% in control of that. Like, at 38, that's what I found, and it's taken me that long to realize that. So imagine at 48 what I'm going to know.
Yeah, well, I'm 45, and it's pretty much taken my whole life to know how to say no to people.
Yeah.
And my biggest wake-up call is my husband. I find men are really good at this. They're so good at not being sentimental about friendships and sentimental about things. Like, we're a bit more emotionally involved, I think, with our friendships. I don't know, that could be generalizing, but I remember I had, if a friend was sick, or if a friend had an operation, I was always running around, cooking for them, bringing them food, really looking after them. And then I had an operation, and I was out of action for 8 weeks. And my husband came in the room. I'll never forget this moment. And he said, "So who's bringing you food?"
Oh, did anyone bring you food?
No.
Really?
And I was like, oh my God. And then I just realized that I was running around for everyone else, but it was a one-way thing in a lot of cases. And that was just in my journey of learning who I wanted around me. And it was kind of, so it was a really good wake-up call for me. And so now I'm still kind to people. I still do things for them. I've got that desire to want to help people, and I will never change that. I will never stop. But I don't go overboard like I used to go. Yeah. I used to be overboard about it.
Yeah, friendships are a real tricky thing to navigate, which I still have not mastered, and I don't know if I'll ever master it. Because there's friendships and there's relationships and there's family, I think, so they're all a little bit different. You've got to treat them a bit differently.
I find that if you have a group of people around you who are into the same things, so I found my filming community have become very close friends to me, because we're all into the same thing. So, we all have the same kind of mannerisms. We're all passionate about life, and, nothing is silly. So if I do something, break out into song, they'll just join in. They're like, can you stop?
Like, what are you doing? You're embarrassing me. And it's like, yes, I am a bit weird.
It's truly, you can find people that you can be 1,000% yourself with. And when you find those people, you will be so happy.
The saying that I've always found, and I love this saying, is find your tribe and love them hard. Yeah. Because that's the essence, I think, of friendship. And it's very hard to find good people. Yeah. Moving on, what is your greatest fear and how do you deal with it?
This is going to feel like sound really silly to you, but apparently it is a thing, and it's actually more common than what I realized. I don't fear life. Like, I love trying new things. I love public speaking. I love all that. but I am so fearful of waves at the beach. Like, ridiculous. Like, I can put me in front of 10,000 people at the last minute to do a talk. I can do that. No problem. But get me in front of a beach and tell me to go a bit further out and I'll be crying like a baby.
I can't do that either. It's weird. I'm scared of the fish. Scared of what's in there. I think it's fear of the unknown, and because you can't breathe under the water, like how do you survive? I think
it's actually because I'm a strong swimmer, so it's not even about that. I'm an extremely strong swimmer. I just don't like not being in control in the waves. And my husband just taught me, it was only about 2 years ago that I'm like, right, that's it. I'm facing my fear. This is absolutely ridiculous. So my husband held my hand like a baby. He's like, come on, just take another step, just one other step. And then this massive wave comes and I start crying. I'm like, no, my God, I'm going to die. And he goes, just sit under the water. Just sit. All you have to do is bend your knees and sit down. And I trusted him. So I did. And then I got up, I'm like, where was the wave? And he goes, that's right, you don't feel the wave. So the fear, it taught me that I had nothing to fear but fear itself. It was actually the fear that was by far worse than the actual wave itself.
Yeah, of course. Oh, very interesting. Now, I've got 3 quick questions and then I'll let you get on with your day. Question number 1, what websites have you signed up to recently that you actually find value in receiving their emails?
I would say Film Freeway. Mm-hmm. And that's where where people enter in their competitions for films. I'm not, honestly, I'm the most boring person on there. The only time I go in front of my computer really is anything to do with filming.
Okay.
And Facebook. I don't love reading things in front. I don't like getting emails from different places. I hate reading on the computer. Okay. I'm just more I just want to do editing and that's it. I'm so boring when it comes. My husband would research anything. I hate research.
Okay, let's move on. Let's not get too negative here. What's one piece of advice you would give your pre-baby self?
That you don't have to be academically smart to succeed in life. And don't ever stop trying. You just keep going, follow those dreams and keep going.
I really like that. No one said that. I really like that. Well, no one has said that yet. And I think I can't remember what episode number this will be. It'll be in the 40s though. Yep. And final question.
Yep.
What is the most useful or useless baby item you had?
As in for my kids?
Yeah.
Another boring answer, nothing. I never really bought anything I didn't need.
Well, what about useful? Like, what's the most useful thing you had? Do you remember the most useful?
The baby bouncer. Oh, my God, I love the baby bouncer. The thing, it's an old-fashioned one. It was handed down probably in two to three generations. The thing that you put the baby on and you just bounce them when they're lying down.
Oh, they're so good. And the babies just love it. Their arms and legs go like crazy.
You know, sometimes the more they cried, the harder you like kind of
bounce them completely over the other side of the room. Don't tell child services.
It's therapeutic for me, I think.
Like, do you like this now, baby? Don't ever shake a baby. Disclaimer, don't shake a baby.
No.
Well, we'll leave on that happy note. Giovanna, thank you so much for being on the Busy Mum podcast. It's been such a pleasure to have a conversation with you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yay!
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Busy Mum podcast. Don't forget to let your friends know and also subscribe to the iTunes channel and also my socials if you want to see what I'm getting up to. A brand new episode is out every Monday morning, just like clockwork.